My husband wants me to throw out the one thing saving our marriage, and it's a giant anime body pillow. Now he's embarrassed and ready to break our nighttime peace treaty. My husband and I are best friends during the day. Love of my life. It's at night that's an issue. I'm a blanket stealer. I once yanked them so hard poor hubby flipped a full 180. Hubby, for his part, is a thrasher. Bruce Lee would be jealous of the moves he pulls off while unconscious. It's a constant war between us when we fall asleep, and both of us often wake up sore and exhausted. It was starting to affect our relationship. Neither of us wanted to move to a separate bed because we like spending our nights together, but it seemed like an inevitability. We were both crabby every morning and we started fighting as soon as we got up. It sucked, but neither of us wanted to concede defeat and move to the other bed. Quick background, I was a huge nerd as a teenager. Full-on otaku. Go ahead, cringe, I do too. One night as a joke, I brought down an old anime body pillow from the attic, I know, the cringe, and plopped it down between my husband and I, declaring it our demilitarized zone. Hubby also thought it was hilarious, and we named her DMZ-chan. She stayed there the whole night. It was a game changer. DMZ-chan protected me from hubby's REM-induced rampages, and she's just heavy enough that I can't yank the blankets at full speed. DMZ-chan is now a beloved part of our nightly routine. We both thought it was the funniest thing, but she legitimately helped us solve the only real issue in our marriage. One day, Emil stopped by to pick something up. She got up to use the restroom, passing by our open bedroom door. You can guess what she saw. DMZ-chan, propped up in the middle of our bed, her giant, soulful anime eyes looking right back at Mil. When she got back, she quickly grabbed her stuff and left, hubby and I both confused. She later mentioned DMZ-chan to hubby while they were on the phone, and it absolutely mortified him. As far as I know, MIL now thinks we're deviants in a three-way relationship with a body pillow. Hubby was too embarrassed to explain, and now he wants to put DMZ-chan back in the attic. I was upset. I told him I didn't want to go back to boxing each other at night, and that DMZ-chan helped us so much in that. He agreed, but suggested we get a normal plain body pillowcase to replace her. I felt like there was no need to spend money on something we already have, and if it really was that big of an issue, we can put her in the closet while we have company over. Hubby is firm in that she has to go permanently. I know he's embarrassed, but I feel we shouldn't have to compromise our inside jokes to appease other people. Ada. Update 1. Alright, so here's what happened after I told my husband I wasn't ready to just throw DMZ-chan in the attic. I mean, come on, she's part of our nighttime peace treaty. But anyway, hubby really didn't want to deal with the awkwardness of having her around anymore. He's convinced his mom has written us off as some kind of anime-worshipping weirdos, which honestly is hilarious because, that's such an over-the-top conclusion to jump to over a pillow. But I get it. I really do. I don't want hubby to feel embarrassed every time he thinks of his mom seeing her sitting in the middle of our bed. We both sat down to figure it out. Hubby suggested we go out and look for a normal body pillow, as if DMZ-chan was somehow from a different species or something. I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, how would that even fix anything? He thinks a plain body pillow would avoid future embarrassment, and he's hoping a generic one won't freak anyone out. But I think the real problem is his mom thinking we're living with an anime character at night, which isn't exactly true, you know. Anyway, I told him fine, let's go look for a new pillow, just to see what's out there. We go to the store, and I'm just standing in the pillow aisle, staring at these plain, lifeless pillows, and I think, none of these pillows could stop a single flying arm or a karate kick blanket thief. I mean, really, they looked like they'd barely hold up to a nap, let alone the nightly showdown between me and hubby. I told him that too. He gave me that look like I was nuts, and I couldn't help laughing. But he picked up this basic gray body pillow and was like, see? Perfectly normal. No anime character, no awkward family questions. The real issue hit us when we got home. We tried putting the new body pillow on the bed, and it was, well, sad. It didn't have any personality. It didn't feel right. But hubby's sitting there, trying to convince himself that this was the solution. So, we lay down, and honestly, it was like sleeping next to a noodle. The pillow kept shifting around, and it wasn't heavy enough to keep us from yanking the blankets or doing our usual night wrestling. It was useless. At one point, I rolled over and yanked the covers, only to see hubby holding onto the pillow for dear life, looking completely betrayed. Neither of us slept that night. By morning, hubby admitted the new pillow wasn't cutting it, and we both looked like zombies. But he was still holding on to the idea that DMZ-chan was the problem. We were too exhausted to talk about it right away, so we let it go for a couple of days. Then something weird happened. I get a call from hubby while I'm at work, and he's telling me his mom came by the house again, unannounced. I'm thinking, oh no, she probably saw DMZ-chan again, didn't she? But no, it's somehow worse. She went into our bedroom, and instead of DMZ-chan, she saw the sad, lifeless noodle pillow on the bed. And you know what she did? She took it. Yep. MIL took the body pillow home because she thought it was a guest pillow or something we didn't need. She didn't even ask. Hubby didn't even stop her. He was just too stunned. So now we're pillowless, and hubby's sitting there, on the phone with me, sounding more and more frustrated. He says his mom thought the new body pillow was some kind of spare thing and didn't realize it was supposed to be part of our sleeping arrangement. And now she's asking him why we have a random extra pillow in our bed at all, making it clear she still finds our sleeping setup confusing. It was kind of funny, honestly. I mean, all this because she walked by our room once. We ended up having to talk about DMZ-chan again because, without her, we went back to waking up sore and tired. The new pillow was gone. His mom still thinks we're weird, and we're back at square one. Hubby looked defeated, and I started feeling bad for pushing to keep her. But at the same time, I didn't want to give up on something that was actually helping us. I reminded him that his mom doesn't live with us, and no one else has to know about our sleeping setup. It's our problem to solve, right? He looked like he was considering it, but I could tell he was still hesitant. Then, out of nowhere, he suggests we try something totally different. He tells me about this sleep divider thing he saw online, a literal partition you put in the bed to separate you from your partner. I thought he was joking, but he was serious. He pulled it up on his phone and it looked ridiculous, but he thought it might be the compromise we needed. I was open to trying anything, but I told him it seemed over the top, and besides, we'd be spending money on yet another random item for the bed. Still, he insisted it could work, and he ordered it right then and there. A few days later, it arrives, and we set it up. This thing was like a small wall between us. It looked so silly sitting there, but I couldn't help but laugh, and hubby just shook his head, kind of amused but clearly still embarrassed. That night, we lay down with the divider between us, and it was just awkward. I felt like we were in some kind of prison cell, unable to see each other or even share a joke before falling asleep. We both ended up just staring at the ceiling, feeling weirdly alone. And yeah, no surprise, it didn't work either. By morning, we were both so done. Hubby finally admits he's missed DMZ-chan and is ready to bring her back. But there's a twist. Now he wants to put her in a plain pillowcase. He's hoping that maybe with a normal cover, she'll still be DMZ-chan to us, but won't be so obvious if someone catches a glimpse. He even suggests we let MIL know it's a joint support pillow or something for sleeping. So we're going to give it one last shot. DMZ-chan's getting a makeover, and we're trying to pass her off as a regular old body pillow. Hubby's still nervous, but I think he's starting to see how funny this whole thing has been. Who knew a body pillow could cause so much chaos? Here's hoping this finally brings us some peace. And if not, maybe we'll just move to separate beds after all. But at least we'll always have our inside joke. Update 2. So here's the wild thing that happened next. After DMZ-chan's makeover, hubby finally started to relax. He seemed pretty confident that if Mill dropped by again, she'd see just a regular pillow and we wouldn't have to deal with the awkwardness all over again. Honestly, I was skeptical. I mean, the whole charm of DMZ-chan was the ridiculousness, right? But hey, he seemed happy, and it was better than the prison cell divider thing. For a couple of nights, everything was back to normal. DMZ-chan, now disguised in a boring gray cover, was doing her job, keeping our nightly battle in check. We weren't waking up sore, we were sleeping better, and hubby seemed less tense. But then one evening, we get a text from MIL saying she's coming by to drop off some things she picked up for us at the store. No big deal. This time, hubby and I were ready. I threw an extra throw blanket over DMZ-chan, just in case. Meal wasn't going to think anything weird, not with the new cover and the blanket. We thought we were so clever, so prepared. But then, right when she arrives, she mentions offhand that she's brought her friend Ruth along. Apparently, Ruth had insisted on seeing the adorable home her son and I have set up. Mel sounded so proud, And honestly, that's sweet and all, but neither of us knew she was coming by with a guest. Hubby looks at me with a kind of panicked, what now expression, and I'm like, just roll with it. We do a quick cleanup while they're walking in, hiding anything potentially embarrassing, and act like everything's totally normal. Ruth and Mill are looking around, commenting on the decor, asking about this and that, and for a moment I think, okay, we're safe. Then Ruth spots our bedroom door, which I had closed, thinking that would avoid any unnecessary attention. But she asks if she can see the whole house, including the bedroom, because she's thinking about redecorating her own room and wants some inspiration. Hubby and I freeze. Hubby shoots me a look that screams, "Is this happening again?" I honestly thought he was going to say no, but instead he just kind of laughs nervously and says, "Oh, sure, why not?" And now I'm panicking because DMZ-chan's lying in there, with a gray cover and a throw blanket. But still, it's DMZ-chan under there. We walk them over to the room, and hubby's practically holding his breath as he opens the door. And right there, perfectly staged in the middle of our bed, is our covert DMZ-chan with her bland, supposedly normal disguise. Ruth steps in, looks around, nodding and complimenting the furniture, but then her eyes land on the bed. She raises an eyebrow and points at DMZ-chan, and I swear my heart stops. She goes, "That's a very interesting setup." There's this awkward silence, and hubby tries to play it off, saying, "Oh yeah, we just got that body pillow. It's, great for support." He's trying to sell it, and I'm just watching as Emil's expression turns into this knowing, slightly amused smile. She's not buying it. Finally, Emil says, "You know, Ruth and I were just talking about those special support pillows. I didn't realize they came in that size." Ruth nods, looking at DMZ-chan like she's some kind of mysterious artifact, and then asks, "Did you find that one online?" I'm dying inside because the way they're looking at the pillow, it's like they know. Ruth's side-eye feels like she's mentally connecting dots we didn't even draw. Hubby's face is red, and he mutters something about the pillow being from a niche store, which, let's be real, made things sound worse. Ruth and Mill are both smiling, but it's that polite smile that says they think we're hiding something. Emil eventually shrugs and says, "Whatever helps you two sleep better, I guess." And they finally move on to another room, leaving us with the world's weirdest silence. Once they leave, hubby turns to me and says, "All right, DMZ-chan is definitely going back in the attic." I'm about to argue, but he stops me saying, "Look, it's just too awkward. I can't take another one of those moments." He's practically pleading, and I get it. This has been way more complicated than it ever needed to be. But I tell him, if DMZ-chan goes, what's the plan? Because that noodle pillow isn't cutting it, and neither is the sleep divider. So we sit down and start brainstorming. Hubby mentions that maybe we could try sleeping with separate blankets, like some couples do. That way, I won't be yanking covers off him, and he won't be karate kicking me in his sleep. It's simple. And I have to admit, I'm a bit bummed to see DMZ-chan go, but I can't think of any other solution that doesn't involve some level of mortification if anyone sees our bed. We try it that night. 2 blankets, no DMZ-chan, and at first, it's weird. I keep reaching out for a blanket to grab, only to find my own, and hubby seems a bit restless without DMZ-chan as the buffer. But by the second night, we start getting used to it. I'm not yanking the covers, and he's not swinging elbows in my direction. It's different, but we're both waking up a lot less sore, and I think it's actually working. Just when I think we finally reached a reasonable compromise, hubby decides to call his mom, just to clear the air. He's not exactly explaining DMZ-chan, but he wants to casually mention the new setup so that she doesn't think we're strange. He tells her we're trying out separate blankets, and she says, "Oh, that's interesting. I guess the body pillow was too much." Hubby laughs nervously, and they wrap up the call. But then he says to me, "I think she knows. She definitely suspects something." So now, the question isn't just whether DMZ-chan's gone for good, it's whether we've accidentally created this whole new mystery around our sleep setup. The way hubby's mom keeps bringing up support pillows has me convinced she's still suspicious. And honestly, it's kind of hilarious. We've gone from simply trying to solve a sleep issue to creating some weird family lore around our bed. Now hubby's convinced MIL is going to keep poking around every time she visits, waiting to see if any other supportive item appears. We're considering just giving her a made-up explanation. Something simple but vague like, oh, we needed some help sleeping and it worked, but we've moved on. At this point, I'm almost hoping she'll just laugh and move on too. But now, without DMZ-chan, we're just left with the lingering feeling that maybe this whole normal sleep idea isn't all it's cracked up to be. We miss the fun of our weird little setup, and honestly, I think we're both a little sad to have let her go. It's funny how something so silly ended up being such a part of our routine. Hubby looks at me that night and says, "We'll find another way to keep it fun." And maybe he's right. Maybe there's a middle ground between total normalcy and anime pillow demilitarized zone. Either way, I think we're finally onto something. But part of me wonders, if DMZ-chan does come back, will we ever really live it down?